Hey there, Dungeon Masters, Lark here with another episode of Boss Battle. This week, we take a look at the Hydra. First thing we want to look at when we're setting up this battle with the Hydra are the cool moments that are really specific to this monster that we want to somehow include in this encounter. As we're thinking this out, what are the things that a Hydra can do? One, we definitely want to have the reveal of the monster. That should always be an important part of the experience of the boss battle. Next thing, we want to decide, how do we want to reveal it? Is it going to be revealed with one head, and it's going to eventually have more, like it's some sort of serpentine beast, or is it already going to start with 3 to 5 heads, like a more traditional Herculean type of Hydra? Either way, we want to make sure that we show that the Hydra has many heads and one body. Another important property of the Hydra is the fact that it can regrow its heads. This is a huge one to make sure the party recognizes that this is the specific monster that they're fighting. If you want them to know, if they've never heard of a Hydra before, somehow they've been living under a rock, then this will be a big surprise to them when it starts to regrow those heads. Another thing that's going to make this Hydra unique is it should know its own abilities. Oftentimes the Hydra is depicted as surprised when it grows its own heads. This Hydra is going to know that it has the ability to grow heads back when they're removed. A last necessity is that the Hydra must eat. It is a vision of consumption. It is mouths on mouths on mouths. Gluttony is its goal, and it has to feast. If you want your Hydra to have any more powers beyond that, maybe fire breathing or different breath weapons, include those too. Next thing we want to look at is the setting. For our Hydra, we want to have some sort of a reveal, so we got to figure out what its lair is like. Is this a Hydra that lives in a forest, a bog, a swamp, maybe a mountainside? That's going to be up to you, and it's just going to change how your reveal works, or it'll be based on where you want to put your Hydra on your party's journey elsewhere. Okay, as usual, I've broken this fight into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the deadly serpents. Before the party knows that this is a Hydra encounter, we're going to have them meet 1 to 3 of the heads, your choice, but they don't see the body. If you're in a forest, maybe it's dark and we just see these serpents moving between the trees. If it is a bog or a swamp, maybe 3 heads come out of the water, or 1 head, however you want to set it up. If it's a mountain, maybe there's these craters that heads start to come out and attack the party. These big serpentine worm-like monsters. They could be snakes or dragon heads or just worm, amoeba-like mouths. It's up to you. Now, if your party is really chop heavy, you can let them behead all of these heads in combat before you move on to the second phase. If they're a little more fireball heavy, then maybe you do your second phase reveal a little bit sooner, but that's going to be up to your party and your style of dungeon mastering, how you want to get to the next reveal. So if the party cut off a bunch of heads, then the body comes out of the ground with a few more heads. If they refuse to chop any heads off because they're already thinking Hydra, or they're using fire magic or acid magic that may stop the heads from regrowing, then you're going to want to get to phase 2 quick, and the body comes out with just a few more heads that didn't pop out of the ground previously. Or if they didn't cut off all the heads, then maybe it's 1 head left that was still connected to the body. You know what I mean. So we're in phase 2, the bodily reveal. All those heads were 1 body. What? It's a Hydra. It comes out of the ground and now it can stomp, it can move, it can travel, it can chase, and it gives us a few more options that it can use against the party. If you gave it like a special breath weapon or special ability, this is where that should be revealed, as all of a sudden the 1 head that remains breathes fire across the field, or acid, or maybe the next drop acid across the field, whatever you can think of to make this battle awesome. Let's finally get to phase number 3. At some point, the party is going to make the connection, likely, that this is a Hydra, and if you cut off the heads, they regrow. Now, Dungeons & Dragons has a few rules for how this works. Other games have different rules. Whatever game you're playing, I don't care. I don't care if it's if they do 20 damage, a head is chopped off. It's just going to cause arguments. Instead of having to have all those arguments, the Hydra knows its own powers. So at some point where it realizes one of its heads has been killed and is dead and has not been chopped off, or if it's just feeling like it's getting defeated and it doesn't have enough attacks to outweigh the party, one of the heads will use its attack action to eat through the neck of one of its own heads, then regrowing 2 more heads out of that stump, or 3, however you want to run it. It's your Hydra. Now, every time a Hydra grows heads back, it should gain some hit points back as well. Just try not to have more hit points come back than the party just did to the creature in the last round of combat. Depending on how things go for your table, it's up to you. If the party's knocking out 30 points of damage, then have it get 20 hit points back. If they're only doing 20 damage, have it get 10 hit points back per head. However you want to look at it, just make sure it's balanced for your encounter. A good thing to remember is that a Hydra, even in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is set from CR 8 all the way to 18, depending on the powers. You can do a lot with a Hydra, make it your own, just try to make it balanced for your party. That's really what's going to make this battle an epic one and one to remember. Another cool idea that you can have with your Hydra heads is when they regrow, they don't necessarily have to be exactly the same as the parent Hydra. Maybe they have some random mutations. The party can see the new heads grow back, but there's weird cancerous bubbles growing on the side of the head, or maybe it's drooling acid. Either way, now we can have some different interactions with what this Hydra is becoming as we do damage to it or as it eats through its own necks. Alright, so our 3 phases to make this the best battle ever. We've got the deadly serpents that come out before we even know that it's a Hydra. Out of the mist come 3 snake-like heads, and we fight these things off. Before we know it, the mists clear, and out from the ground, this body comes out, and now we've got phase number 2, the bodily reveal. Finally, after fighting this creature, we cut off a couple heads, we do a bunch of damage, we decide not to cut off heads, it starts chomping through its own necks, and we get into the regrowth of the heads, some weird mutations if you want to take it that far, and the battle truly becomes epic. This is one that your party can either overcome, or they may decide that the enemy's got too many attacks now, and they have to run away. Either way, it should be a battle to remember anytime you put a Hydra on the battlefield. Be it a little guy like you see in the old Greek, like a snake with just a few heads, or the big progenitus from Magic the Gathering that's here to end worlds. Whatever you want to do with your Hydra, make it the best battle ever by making it first unknown, second revealed, and third growing heads one after the other, no matter what the party does to try to prevent it. Let your Hydra do that one cool thing that Hydras do. If you want more tips and tricks like this, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell if you want to be notified when I make videos. I'm trying to make videos every single week for you guys. If you have a suggestion for a specific boss that you want to see, put it in the comments below. If you want to see it within a certain system, do that as well. I'm going to try to go more system neutral in my future videos though, so that way you can start to make these monsters your own and not have to follow the book rules as written, because too many players have the books. Let's surprise them a little bit. Alright players, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will play you later.